Welcome, guys, to my Traders US Season 2, Episode 10 recap. We are recapping the latest episode of The Traders, which happened last night. And thankfully, I got to watch it because I actually thoroughly enjoyed last night's episode pretty much. Um, Only one thing didn't happen that I would have preferred.
Oh
but
yeah? Well, I'm excited to see what that is.
but with me to chat of what happened last night is Janelle Michelle. Thank you for joining me tonight, Janelle. How are you
Mhm.
doing?
I'm excited. I also enjoyed this episode. The mission had me cracking up. So I'm excited to jump into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we left, if you, Janelle wasn't here for our last recap, but we discussed how we left on a cliffhanger. The
Mhm.
banishment vote at the round table was tied for, was it two for Peter, two for Phaedra, with a
And
tiebreak,
MJ.
yeah, with a tiebreaker coming from MJ. And there were all sorts of rumors and spoilers and all sorts of. I did not look up the spoilers. I did not look up the rumors. I don't even know if Reddit was right, but apparently Reddit had figured out who was going to stay based on what MJ wrote on her board and who participated in the future challenges. But we do see here they kind of shuffle back a little bit and we go back through the votes and then we get to MJ's vote. And what were you hoping for, Janelle? Let's talk about that.
Oh, you already know. I was hoping that Phaedra was going to be banished, but honestly, the dream scenario happened in this episode. I was like, can't they both just go? But
Yes.
I knew it was gonna be Peter because MJ had the decision. I just didn't see her flipping on Phaedra or that side, the women. So I figured it was going to be Peter, but
Well, at this point, I felt like she should vote out Peter personally.
mhm. It's
Um,
better for her, yeah,
yes,
for
that's
sure.
why I felt like she should vote out Peter because it was better for her game. And
hmm
I felt like, while yes, Phaedra is a traitor, I cannot see coming into this episode how like Kate was gonna murder somebody or was she gonna have to recruit somebody? And I just thought it would be just fruitless to come into this episode and Peter stay. Phaedra goes, and then we have to like kind of reset the game a little bit again, and so at this point, I was like, it would be optimal if MJ writes down Peter
hmm
and he is banished. Because personally, I felt like Peter needed to be banished. Personally, he was rude, um,
yeah.
and to the point where I don't feel like anybody on the other side of his alliance should have wanted to work with him, regardless of him being a faithful or keep him. This is the point of the game where I'm sorry, but if you're not going to work with me to the end, if I can't trust you, and I mean, we saw this in Canada, remember, like with Donna and all that stuff. It's like if you know that you can't work with somebody to the end, cut them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I most of all he annoyed me with his I'm gonna win the right way. I'm gonna win as a faithful. I don't like all that self righteousness, moral high ground type of game. In these types of games, it's a game literally called traders. The people that are
Right.
traders aren't bad. Like it's a game, and everybody's assigned a role. Period. Point blank. They're not bad for it. So yeah, I didn't like some of the ways he chose to play the game. I thought he was smart. I thought he had good ideas and good strategies sometimes, but I didn't like the way he went about going to play the game. I'd be interested to see him in like a Big Brother to see how he does strategy. It'd probably be wild.
Yeah, it would probably like a celeb BB. I would wonder if it was short a game how he would at this. I mean, I do think he came in underestimated.
For
Um,
sure.
for sure, and he played a better game, I think, than most people thought he would.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, though, like I he also, to me, like some people are like, oh my god, he played the most amazing faithful game, and
No.
I don't agree. I think he played a terrible faithful game because it's like a great faithful game is like kind of what Kate kind of played last year, where like she feigned ignorance and also was ignorant and also was entertaining. um so you get to the end and it's like, you might as well keep her. Sheree, I feel like is that for this season. um
Hmm. Yeah, she's real
Chantel
low
is
key.
joining us today. Hi, Chantel. She says, but if there were no faithfuls trying to banish traitors, there wouldn't be a show. I don't think either of us is saying we don't want faithfuls. We're just saying we don't want faithfuls like Peter. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Peter, he was interesting. Like he surprised me. He just popped up out of nowhere, he really stepped in and started, and I appreciate him for that because he brought a lot of interest to the game. I just didn't like his attitude about certain things, and I thought he made key mistakes
Yeah.
that gamers wouldn't
Kicking
make.
people
Like,
out of rooms, telling
yes,
people
those things.
we can't talk in the middle of the game. Not end game. This is not the end game. This is
Yeah.
the middle of the game. You're telling people they need to leave the room so that you could talk to a certain sect of people.
Yeah.
That does not make a good faithful.
Yeah, he really put I mean, not just him, they all sat in that room together and listened
Right.
to what was said and chose to stay in there, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think that he just made some key mistakes like that,
Yeah.
that got him tripped up, unfortunately for him. But I'd
Right.
be super interested to see him in other strategy games. To see, I think Big Brother would eat him up, especially the long form.
Mhm.
But I would love to see him play it though. And maybe he would adapt. And maybe after a couple of weeks, he would adapt. But
I think he might be one of those pious players. I think he would be a jag. I don't know
yes.
how he would be competition wise, but I think he'd be like, I've played the most faithful, loyal, uh,
Honest
clean,
game.
honest game. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
he's telling people to leave rooms and stabbing them in the back, right? So,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
so we do see that MJ does write Peter's name down. Peter is banished, and I was like, woohoo, hooray, yay. And
Yeah.
so, and not because, listen, guys, I'm going to be truthful, not because I think Phaedra has played the best game, not because I want Phaedra to win, but purely because I was just annoyed by Peter at this point. And
Yeah.
I want him to
I
go.
l- I enjoyed seeing him get knocked down a few pegs.
Yep, yep,
That's
absolutely.
all. That was fun for me as a viewer.
Now, when he left, Phaedra's there sipping. Yeah, like, girl, at least pretend you're not a traitor.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, sorry for you.
Yep. She was just Phaedra, I think at this point is just worn out, but we'll get
Yeah.
into that later.
And then everybody at the table was just like, oh my God, oh no. And I was like, guys, it's the end game. It's okay. You can lose a faithful at this
Yeah.
point. It's
Yeah.
fine. It really is. It narrows down who is faithful and who is not. And it like it helps you out just a little bit in the end game strategy. And Chantel says here, strategically he wasn't sound, but I think his he trusted his crew and wanted to talk candidly. I
Yeah.
get that,
Yeah.
but I I think it's the way he went about it. Absolutely.
Right.
I
Yeah.
do think he was strategically sound. I was shocked that he didn't take the invitation to be a trader, and it still kind of ended up working out for him. On the flip side, I think him trying to still cozy up to the traders that he knew were traders but not being a trader is what also helped to bite him in the ass, right? Like
I
putting him out front to the rest of the group that he was trying to work with known traders is what made people suspicious of him.
And I think that he was idiotic for not taking that. Like idiotic for not taking that. I think that he could have taken it if he would have played it cool. He really could have gotten
Mhm.
to the end of the game. But he started playing weird after that, and a lot more eyes got on him after all of that
Ego.
happened. So it might not have worked out for him, but I fully expected him to take that position. But he was unwilling to kill his friends. He was willing to be traitor like. I think that he could have really won.
Ego, absolute ego. Chantel says the sip of water was. I wonder how many people were paying attention to her sipping the water because it was as bad as the any boiled eggs, any boiled eggs, and I'm like, dude, somebody just got murdered. Hello, act like you had nothing to do with it.
She couldn't care less. Like she
Care
did
less.
not care less.
Care less. I mean, at this point, even MJ and Sheree have their antennas up. Like, uh-oh. I think we did this wrong. I think we messed up. And we have Trishelle and John are like, okay, that's it for us. We're gonna be
Murdered.
managed or murdered or whatever,
as
they should personally. And so I personally was going into the murder from the traders like hoping that they would murder Trishelle. Because personally, I did not want her in the end game.
A lot of people online are really bothered by Trishelle, but I'm not. I like that she. I mean, I didn't like her on Real World or The Challenge or anything like that. Just in this space, she doesn't really bother me. But she kept pushing for her agenda. She's been right since Dan left, and nobody would get on board with her, unfortunately for her. But she's been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I guess I appreciate her persistence here, even though it definitely could have gotten her murdered multiple times. She never gave up. So,
I mean, she was right.
Yeah.
Just because she was right, though, I don't like how she was right.
I'm just saying she was right. And she kept pushing and pushing.
And yes, she kept pushing her agenda. Although, again, I think I said this with Miss TJ last week. Even though she was right, she was making up stuff to make herself right. Like some of the stuff is like, I just have a gut feeling. I just have a gut feeling I don't like you. That doesn't mean I get to banish you or murder you, right?
Right. But with limited concrete things in this game in general, she did what she could to try to get her agenda across. Can't blame her for that, right?
I will say Trishelle played a better game than I thought she was going to.
Yeah.
I personally would have murdered her a very, very long time ago.
I know you would have.
Carmen says on postmortem, Phaedra said everybody there were people that Phaedra wanted to be there. Oh yeah, you could tell that. Like she basically we do get to Trader's Tower and her and Kate talk, and Kate mentions murdering Trishelle, and Phaedra pushes to murder John. And I do think because personally she could have murdered CT. Right?
Yeah.
And I think it would have been such an off murder that people wouldn't necessarily believe that she did it, right? Because
that's her castle daddy. But I think that the John murder just solidified it for some people, as we see MJ at breakfast.
Yeah.
But I really think that no matter what she did, there was still going to be Trishelle, i.e., people pushing her name. It was just going to be hard to get out from under a couple of weeks in a row.
Unfortunately. So we do see here she did push, and I'm gonna say this. I do feel some of Phaedra's downside for her game was she did not push the right people to go home. And because she just wasn't strategically sound enough to understand where and what to push, that would have taken the heat off of her. I mean, there's some things that would never be able to not reflect on her, like the Ekin-Su murder or whatever.
Dan. To me, Dan's actions and Trishelle picking up on what he was doing is really that nail. The nail was put right there, and then each week they were hammering at that nail, especially Trishelle, hammering at that nail. So I feel like that was the start of the crumble of her game, because before that, at least to us, nobody was talking about Phaedra at
Right.
all. Like I was like, they better murder her, or because nobody. I felt that Dan and Parvati were going to be called out way before Phaedra, and that's what happened, of course. But that's why I was saying they better get her. I thought that that was their only hope for a little bit of longevity if they had named her first. But yeah.
This is interesting. So Carmen said that on a podcast, Sandra revealed that Phaedra had sympathy for Trishelle because Trishelle told her that she never made it far in a show before. So look
Interesting.
at that. So that's interesting. But I do feel like, because she did say at some point, right, like that, oh, CT was the only guy here. She even, we'll see later, she even votes for him as the only male there. Like, I do think she was trying to protect as many women as she could towards the end game. Unfortunately, we do see that even in conversation, she was protecting certain people that I felt like she should have been like, oh no, yeah, she could possibly be a traitor, Kate.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. I was like, Phaedra, give Kate. Yes, keep going.
and so we, I don't think that helped her, because we see that at, like you said earlier, John's murder basically starts solidifying it for some people that there's just no way. All of Peter pals have either been murdered or banished, and John was like the last one before Trishelle. And so, as they come into dinner, it's breakfast, it's MJ and Sandra, and they're having a conversation, and she's like to Sandra, we'll see what happens. I really do think that it's possible Phaedra is a traitor. And even Sandra is like, yeah, we'll see, but I might have to agree with you, which I was shocked at, because I do think that Sandra kind of knew that Phaedra was probably a traitor, but I think she was trying to protect her as close to the end game to cut her as possible. But I think at this point it was like, if you did not say you suspected, like if you were Sheree and you didn't say you suspect that Phaedra is a traitor, it looks
suspicious. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely
for
sus.
Sure.
And so at the end of the day, CT comes in, same thing. And CT's, he loves Phaedra, but he's like, no, she's got to be a traitor. He's got to be a traitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he does say that he thinks John is the one who's going to go. And Phaedra comes in and basically he's like needling her, like you're a traitor. I know it. You know it. It's like, okay.
And he asked her, even like he tried to get some theories out of her, and she gave like little to nothing.
Nothing.
Phaedra, come on.
It's like, that's what sent Dan home, Phaedra. Like, what happened here? Like, you have to. That's the one thing that I feel like, I don't know how she was able to do it, but Cirie was just so able to cover her tracks at not necessarily throwing a name out there, but agreeing with a name, but also like pointing in a direction still. And I don't know how she did it, but that's that damn social strategic amazingness that she had. She was just able to do it, that for some reason Phaedra, Dan, Parvati didn't seem to be able to pick up in this situation. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I don't
so
know. I think that they all just, from listening to podcasts and a little bit of exit interviews, especially, well, that's how Phaedra seemed, especially Parvati. I didn't hear from Dan, but I know that's the case. They were just beaten down. I don't know. They just seemed really beaten down by constant accusations and
well, we have heard that in other seasons. I think when we covered Canada, a lot of them, it's like 2 weeks that they're there, but they're like, the game gets so treacherous that like you just feel like you've been there for a month, you want out. Like, we had somebody who was just telling people, just murder me, or if you're a traitor, murder me. If you're faithful, banish me, right? Like she just wanted to go home to her daughter. Remember last season of Canada,
Mhm.
and it gets like that. So it's like 2 weeks of hazing, kind of, right?
Hazing is a good example.
Yeah.
Hey, Rachel.
We have Rachel joining us. Hi, Rachel. Rachel, I think it was you who was saying that Reddit had a theory. Tell me if Reddit's theory about who was gonna be banished from NJ was correct, if it was you. So we do see that Alan comes in, and John is gone, and it, we do get a kind of a clue on the mission for that day,
Yeah.
which I liked this mission. It was a little different, but I feel like it was a little challenge coded, don't you think?
Yeah, it was funny because they couldn't do it. I was cracking up. The only like them falling in the water. I A for effort. Like at least they put their all into it, but I was dying at them failing miserably. Except for the three that were able to do it. The other ones were pure comedy to me.
So Rachel says Reddit was correct. It was Peter banished by MJ. So yes, Reddit was right.
Yeah, Reddit has a top 5 too.
Oh,
I'll keep my lips zipped, but
yeah.
I've seen it.
Oh, Rachel agrees with you that the mission was hilarious and she was rolling. I
Yeah,
I
it was good.
I did think it was funny. I did. I was just like, why can't y'all do this? What is going on?
So bad.
So we do see it is called the Big Dig, and the contestants have to dig up gold nuggets from a pile of dirt, and they're worth $150 each, and they then had to cross a series of floating platforms to the other side of a pond, deposit the golds on a plate of a balanced scale. They had 20 minutes to dig it up, transport it, and deposit as many nuggets as they could find for up to $30,000 worth of gold hidden in the dirt. And any gold dropped into the water was lost forever. A shield was also hidden in the dirt, which could be banked by depositing on the scale as well. So we do see that. I think it was pretty early. MJ dug up the shield, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even know if they were all going for the shield. This is one thing I'm going to say. Oh, Chantel says, uh, Alan laughing was cracking me. Like he was so entertained by this.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason. It was just such a delightful mission for once.
Yeah. He was definitely a part of like what made it fun for me, like seeing his reaction like live in the moment because they were so bad. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Chantel's chatting from Twitter. Okay, you got to show me how you do that because I don't figure it out. And so we do see that she does get the shield early, but she has to cross the planks to get, or the platforms to get over there, and she just keeps falling for MJ.
So
He's
bad.
falling. It was so bad. Now, the only thing I had a problem with here is, did we need a shield this late in the game?
No.
I feel like there were too many shields this season. How about you?
So many shields, so many opportunities to get one. I feel like after so long, they should just be cut off at this point.
I think so. I think so too. And so we do see that they do, most of them attempt to get this gold, and most of them fall into the water. But after a while, Trishelle, a challenger, and CT both are able to somehow get as many nuggets as they can over to the balance scale, and then finally MJ finally gets her shield over there, just making it right under, like the countdown was like
right there. Yeah, I was like, I don't think she's gonna make it. I didn't think she was gonna make it.
I didn't think she was gonna make it, but there was only the will of somebody, because she actually just got it onto the scale, and so MJ gets her shield, and they collected a total of the $30,000. They got $28,350 in prize money. So the total prize pot is up to over $150,000. Now, I said this last week, and I want to know your opinion. Me and Miss TJ did chat about this. I don't care who wins the money. How about you? I care who wins the show.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
You don't care? No.
The money, I feel like, is not important this season.
Why?
Because I feel like they've made it like unimportant. I feel like it's unimportant. I feel like because this is celebrities, they've made this prize. Last year it was all about the prize money. Oh, the $250. We gotta bank as much money for this $250. We have to do it what we can. We have to keep this person to get $250,000 in the pot. We have to, right. Like it felt like everything was about the money, but I also think it's because there were people in there who needed the money.
Could be. I think some of these people aren't as cushioned as we think. Like Trishelle hasn't ever won MTV anything. She doesn't get far, as she said. When I see her on social media, she seems just very regular. I don't assume that all of them would need it, but maybe it's just not the focus that the edit's telling us about, or people just want to win to say they won and maybe are not money motivated.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's secular this season, which is why it's like already the missions are weird, right? Like that some of them is like, why are you doing this mission? But on top of that, if the point of the mission is not working, what's the point, right? So Carmen says, I wanted the traders to win. That's why I wanted them to recruit. I feel like Kate messed up. But I did discuss this last week. I felt like her recruiting Kate was the wrong move. I felt like she should have recruited Sandra. And that way she could have pushed Sandra under the bus when she needed to. I think everybody would have believed her.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Rachel says, I don't think the money is important to most of the cast. They wanted to produce good TV and go home. That's it. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know if I totally enjoyed this season because there was very little strategy in some parts, and it like well, let's get to after even Phaedra was like 500 is enough for me to, right. That's what I'm saying. So we do see that there are points where like Trishelle is there going to MJ and Kate and like, are you guys ready to talk now? And I was like, it's funny that you're pulling people to the side now and you want to chat to them, but when MJ walked into a room and tried to chat strategy to you guys kicked her out. But now you're attacking her, acting like, oh, she is alienating you. She's like, oh, well, I know I'm all alone in this. And MJ's like, you're not all alone in this, right? This is about getting out the traitors. So if we have to turn on somebody that we think is a friend to get out a traitor, that is what we're going to do. So they wanted to go after Phaedra. They've all decided that Phaedra is the person.
Yeah.
Except for Kate. Kate has decided she can't cut Phaedra loose, which is fine. But she does this by saying, well, I don't think it's Phaedra. I think it's Sandra.
I thought it was smart to say to them from Kate, if you think that it's Phaedra, why not murder another faithful tonight? And then we can get Phaedra tomorrow. Like, I thought that was a good plan. Unfortunately, she ain't give another damn name. When Sandra came out, I'm like, say a name. When Sandra came out there and was like, hey guys, can I join you? And Kate explained her whole theory. I do not understand why she could not give a name.
Well,
Stacy,
because she was
Trishelle,
giving
Stacy.
she
Well,
was
they were
giving
all there.
everybody else Sandra's name, right?
Well,
My whole thing is, I feel like she should have did that in the front end, right? So she should have been, instead of saying, "Oh no, there's no way Phaedra is a traitor. Let's just do Sandra.
mhm,
It's probably her." I think she should have done it in the flip way, like, okay, we know Phaedra is a traitor, but we need to get to the end and cut the last traitor.
right.
So how about we go ahead and keep Phaedra and cut the person I think is a traitor, right, Trishelle? You think she's a traitor to Sandra,
Mhm,
and said that's not what she did. And so I think that is where she messed up,
mhm.
because she sent alarm bells ringing off in Sandra's.
I know. Sandra's like, "Ugh," and then she's even more suspicious with her behavior later. So yeah, Kate, I just was watching. I'm like, even when she was having the conversation in front of Sandra, I just could not believe. She's like, "Well, I don't know." Sandra's like who? Okay, like who? I can get down with that. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Like that was frustrating to watch. Like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on, Kate. It's not that
Like,
hard right there.
say to anybody's name who is not in this room, anybody who's like anybody, just, and then tell them, I had to give Sandra your name, but we're all voting Sandra because we think she's a traitor. That's all you have to do. But that's what I'm saying. The strategy is missing, right?
Yeah.
And so we do also see a conversation where they're all deciding to vote out Phaedra, and Sheree is like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. And so she does pull her girl to the side. They both said they've known each other for over 30 years. I didn't realize it was that long. And that they,
Well, they're 50.
yeah, well, they trust each other, and they want to stick by it. Like Phaedra says she doesn't want to keep lying to Sheree, but she has to, right?
Right, I was about to say, yes. I
To
didn't
get
like that's when I messaged you. I'm like, are they're not allowed to tell, right? I'm like, come on, Sheree, she can't tell you that. I think
right.
she was just basically giving her a heads up as to what's coming with which Phaedra already knew this whole episode. She was very like melancholy, very even kill. It's like even at the round table, it's just like she was ready to be done. Like she was tired of fighting and arguing. She really didn't even put up, except for telling Trishelle her theories were stupid, basically. She really didn't put up much of a fight. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's done. Like, she's tired. That's how I felt watching Phaedra this entire episode. I was like, she's worn out with this mess.
I mean, and even at that point, Sheree was like, "Okay, give me a name,
Nothing.
a name, just a name." And
Nothing.
she's like, like, I'm sitting there, people throwing names out. Do you think Kate could be
Exactly.
a traitor? Kate? No,
No.
she's not. Did you do you think Sandra could be one? She's there like, Sandra, I think she's a little cutthroat, but no, I don't think it could. Like, Phaedra, are you trying to stay? Are you trying to go home here? Because like this sounds like a trying to go home. And as you said, it just sounded like at this point she was tired. When we get to this round table, they don't even attack her at this point. They just
I
basically
know.
they just
It was
basically
so like chill. Well, Phaedra, like it was so chill. The writing was
yeah,
on the wall the entire episode. I
yeah,
thought I would want to mention that I thought the moment between Sheree and Phaedra was endearing and sweet. I like that moment between them because you could tell they really mattered to each other. So I really
yeah.
liked seeing that between them. But yeah, when we got to the round table, it was so like not like
I
just
mean, they
so
basically were saying nice things about the person that they thought was a traitor. It's like, CT, I think you came here to play against the person you are in real life. I was like, really? Because I mean, that's the only person I've known. She's been a villain for as long as
yeah.
and he's like, I think you're a traitor. Sheree's like, I love you. You're my girl. We've known each other for 30 years, but I think
I
in
think
this
you're a
game, you're a
traitor.
traitor.
Yeah. And I
um,
think what Carmen said earlier just was like
mhm,
spot on. She
mhm.
liked everybody that was left and she was glad that they were there.
Yeah.
Was it so much so she was unwilling to go on the attack against any of them, even to save herself? That's how like I'm perceiving it, especially with Carmen
Yeah.
adding that little bit in. She just wasn't willing to do it, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Unfortunately.
and also basically what we've seen, it seems like it's been her issue with how Dan went out. Not necessarily Parvati, but how Dan went out, throwing her under the bus. She seemed to have an issue with that, and I just don't think she wanted to do that to anybody. So I think her thing was like, because I feel like she should have called Kate out a little more, because Kate calling her out the way she did,
I was like,
saying that
oh,
she was selfish, and what was the other word? She was more than selfish and less than skillful.
I
And I was
was shocked.
like,
I was like, damn, because it seemed like Kate got angry that Phaedra didn't have the fight, because that episode, Kate had been trying to do what she could, or what she felt in her mind was the best to try to keep Phaedra. Why, I don't know. It's a sinking ship, and it's been a sinking ship. Just allow it to sink, and that might help you. But I think her flipping so aggressively as she did, I was surprised, because I don't see why. Like I
no, there
said,
was
she seemed
no reason.
annoyed, but that was really surprising to me. And I
There was
heard that
no reason.
Phaedra still hasn't spoken to Dan. I don't know if
Oh,
that's true.
well, I know he said he messaged her, and I think like, well, the reunion's this weekend, or the
Yeah.
reunion was recorded today, so we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
The oh, is so Rachel agrees here. I didn't think that Phaedra wanted to go the bitter route and throw anybody on the bus on the way out. And I wonder if those words from Kate may bring her. Oh, no, we already see. So we do see that, at this point, Phaedra leaves saying she was a faithful traitor. And she
That was
was.
good.
She was the most faithful traitor
Yeah.
of this game. She didn't throw anybody on the bus unless she had to. And so she is banished unanimously and so we do see Sandra, the antennas start going again between what Kate did before and what Kate said at the round table that just seems so personal. She says, she goes into the room, they're all cheering, and yay, we banished the traitor. And they can't figure out if there's one or two left, but they know there's at least one. Because she should have been able to recruit. If Phaedra was the traitor, she should have been able to at least recruit. And
Right.
so they do sit down, and Sandra's like, hey, Kate, I want to talk to you about what you said to Phaedra on her way out about her being selfish and less than skillful. What did you mean by that? Why did you say that? And Kate's like, oh, well, I'm just saying the way she murdered people in this game, she was selfish. And I was like,
It didn't even make her explanation did not even make any sense. She should have.
no.
She's not very good, like at coming up on the floor. Like she should have thought whatever she was going to say in that round table through, because it wasn't even necessary to do that. It was already a sinking ship. She should have said, I really didn't think you were a traitor, but after listening to everybody, that's all she had to do, was a subtle
Yeah. Like
explain a
all day
subtle.
I've been telling everybody that I didn't think that you were a traitor. And I unfortunately I don't think that I can continue based on all the evidence that everybody's laid out. And I'm sorry to see you go. You're my
Done.
girl. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
no, instead she had to go
Oh,
on the attack, and it
yeah.
could get some heat on her. Unless they're baiting and switching, Sandra seems on to her. So yeah, that wasn't a good play, Kate.
No.
Not at all.
So and as I said, I don't think Kate should have been recruited as a traitor. And so at where we are now, next week is the finale. It looks like they're setting out a showdown between Sandra, who we know is faithful, who has been playing, to me, an optimal faithful game, right? Hiding in the middle, saying what she had to when she had to, being strategic, pointing out things, but also not alienating anybody. And she said it during this entire episode. She tried to build friendships, and that is what I feel like, that's that social strategy that will get you to the end of the game of traders. So she tried to build friendships that will take her to the end, even friendships with traders that she knew were traders, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we do see it's going to come down to the person that we know is a trader and the person that seems to be figuring her out, the faithful of the faithful now, Sandra. And so we do see that that's probably going to be the showdown next week. I'm excited to see who ends up winning this fight. Personally, I don't want Kate to win. Personally, I
I
just
really
think
don't
it's
care
unfair.
who wins.
Mhm.
Actually, I don't care who wins because I don't like anybody head and shoulders above another. There will be
Mhm.
like I'd rank them to like who would I want most or least, but whoever wins wins for me at this point.
Yeah. I just feel like it kind of is unfair that Kate came mid game and gets to win. But
Middle, literally, it might have even been past half the middle. I don't like that either. But that's a dumb like
yeah,
she
I mean
threw the
it's
dumb
I mean not it's happened mid
before.
game like that. Yeah, I mean it's happened that a trader gets chosen mid game or end game and they win. So I mean you can't help that. I just feel
Mhm.
like in this,
Well, not just chosen. Chosen is different. Like being recruited in the middle is different from
yeah,
popping in the game in the middle. You know,
true.
I would even like
Because I think
have.
in the UK, even the guy who was in the beginning and left, they kicked him out, and then came back mid game. He
Mhm.
he got cut right before, but he also is the one that helped make the Faithfuls win. So he definitely threw that traitor under the bus. And Rachel says, "I don't want Kate, Trishelle, or Sheree wins." I mean, see, yeah, yeah.
I don't care.
This list isn't not a bad list here.
I think it's gonna be hilarious if MJ wins.
Yeah. I would be happy for MJ to win. Listen, MJ come up very, very far. Remember in the beginning when she was annoying and hanging out with Larsa, we were like, MJ and Larsa can go. She picked up on what she needed to pick up on in the end game, and she's done really well. So I'm really proud of MJ. I'm really proud of CT because also like he was probably the closest person uh to Phaedra other than Sheree, and he also picked it up. And so I would be, and I'm proud of Sandra, so I would be proud of any of those winning. Kate came in late. Trishelle is annoying, and Sheree was lost all game, pretty much. Like literally, Phaedra had to be an out and out trader for her to get that she was a trader. So that is our show for tonight. And so, where can the people find you, Janelle?
I'm just Janelle Michelle on everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, same thing. Big Brother Canada is about to start. I think we're going to be doing Exit Press with Silent Podcast, and I'm about to hop on a draft with them as soon as I'm done with you.
Yes. And so you can follow me here, Entertainment in Color everywhere. And so, yes, we will cover the finale of Traders, probably not next week, Friday, but sometime the week after as I am traveling. And I will be joining Chantel Francis on her channel, Reality Realness with 3 S's, in about 30 minutes, I believe, to chit chat Love is Blind, episode 11. So we covered episode 10 on my channel a couple nights ago. And so if you want to join us, we're going to go chit chat about the other episode that happened this week. And we will also cover the finale and the reunion between our 2 channels. So, and next week starts Traders UK. So we are going to cover it on this channel, definitely, because I'm going to watch it on Peacock. I'm not sure who will be covering it with me yet, but join us for that coverage if you haven't watched it, or if you did watch it and just want to watch my coverage. I try to bring a little different opinions, probably a little harsher than some people. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. We love you, and we will see you next time, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.